Well, it's all about release today. We'll get to that soon. And haven't we got a lot to release this year? My goodness, I go through my things every year and it doesn't really seem to get any smaller. But there's one thing that won't be released, and that is our inner self, our inner Christ self. It won't let go of us. It'll let us go in directions that we want to go in. And my goodness, haven't we all been in those weird directions? But we are body, mind and spirit, and we are in control of our own lives. This wonderful energy that Spirit has given us. This life we use to store up treasures in heaven as well as living in the now. But as I said, there's one thing we can't give away, and that is the will to be. Now, we didn't invent spirit, but we are its creative outlet. And there are times when it does seem it has left us, I'm sure we all know. We have those moments where the mystics have called it the dark night of the soul, some worse than others. And we read about these basically from the writings of the mystics that we've had in the past, those way showers who've gone before us. Some of them are a bit heavy going, like St. John of the Cross, and a few Meister Eckhart's probably one of the easiest to understand. So what is a mystic? A mystic is a person by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with or absorption into the deity or the absolute. It's a bit abstract, isn't it? But it's one who really lives from spirit. Everything is spirit. And when we look around, we know we're living in spirit because little things that happen to us during the day. We heard of people that can talk to the animals. Is talk the right word? Maybe not. But animals respond. Nature responds. And sometimes in the mornings we've all heard those birds, and we've had many a meditation in here, where those birds that nest there every year on the roof have been part of our meditation. Not so much this year. But as we get on in life, we do have these moments where we feel spirit has left us. It's a bit like our parents when we were young. They had to let us make our own mistakes before we could gain some sort of wisdom. You know, like going too fast when you get your first two-wheeler bike. You think you've got it, and your parents say, slow down, but no, you tackle the hill and off you go, head over heels. So our higher self does the same thing in us as we learn to invoke those universal spiritual laws which are always there and always will be forever and ever on whatever plane of existence. And it's here where our faith is put to the test. How are we using our power? Our higher self watches as we work our way through life. And isn't that scary to think some of the things and situations we've been in? Our higher self has been watching us, not judging us. And I liked the Catherine Ponder books when I was new to Unity, and maybe Stephanie, you'll get to read one of them one day. She's very, very good. She puts things so simply. She calls it her guardian angel. Now we know that's an old churchy term, but sometimes we use whatever fits to keep our connection to the divine. But we are not punished by God or our guardian angel if we do something wrong. We're punished by just using the law the wrong way. That's all. So what is it, the very substance? Who are we? I look at us all here, and it's interesting, we're all each unique individuals of that one expression. How did we get to be me and you? Isn't it amazing? So what is it? Okay, Yogananda in his wonderful book says that spirit is the dream, the great matrix, which Greg Braden calls it, and we are it in action. We are living the dream that is limitless. And the more we attune to it, the more we can express it. We haven't even started to know what's happening in the future. And we have to laugh when people, like I'm part of the baby boomer generation, and the younger ones can be quite judgmental about us old timers. But that had to go before this. We had to go through that before they could do this. And one of the most amazing ones, I was at a conference the other day and we were talking about it, and it said the technology that we use, like this Skype, it used to be Skype, it's now Zoom, and we're all terrified of it, but it was always there. But during lockdown or anything, look how that invention made us go screaming into the next stage. I remember with great excitement and fun when I remember looking out and saying, now everyone mute yourself. Help! How on earth do you do that? And I remember being up in the country and thinking, my God, if I do something wrong here, when we started, we had about 45 people on Zoom. And I thought if I do the wrong thing, it's not even worth thinking of. And once I decided to press a button to think, okay, I'll fill the whole screen up with me so that I can see whether I'm looking at the camera properly, and I did, and the screen went blank. And I thought, my goodness gracious. So I'm very, very careful, but we're now gradually getting used to it, and it's not so nerve-wracking, and especially for you people at home. I know Sylvia, who'll be 99 next year, she's sitting there having a cup of tea, and the world is at peace, and people come in and say, would you like a cup of tea? No, thank you. I'm fine. I'm watching my Unity service as I have done for how many years? I don't even want to consider it, Sylvia. It's amazing. So anyway, we are living the dream, but we are not it. And I'm getting to the stage where I'm getting a bit strange with these little sayings. They pop up on the phone. I've got a chap, Peter, who sends me a little spiritual saying every day. Now, I've seen most of them. Some of them are so good, though. Like, we are a drop in the ocean. And he's the sort of guy that will answer that and say, yes, but if the ocean wasn't there, you wouldn't be there, a drop. Things like that. And the leaves on the tree. If the tree wasn't there, the leaves wouldn't be there. And there's a lot of humour involved in this. It doesn't have to be serious. We're not going to be judged by that old, grumpy old thing in the sky. Sorry. Dear oh dear. Oh, okay, the building's still standing. Okay, so regardless of the name we give to this power, regardless, it is a belief and feeling beyond the name that invokes the power. We say we're talking to God. Well, does God only speak English or Spanish or something like that? No, it's the feeling. And one of the epiphanies that Greg Braden shares in one of his well-known books is the divine matrix. And feeling is the language that speaks to the divine matrix. And when we pray, we feel as though our goal is accomplished before it's already answered. Takes a bit of doing, but you've got to do it first, and that's half the battle. When people come into these teachings, they get their little things they want first of all, then, like I said to my nephew when we were having a lunch down here at Geppetto's, he said to me, so it's all positive thinking, is it? And I said, well, yes and no. Because, as Louise Hay says, when you do your affirmations, you'll get to little parking places, you'll get a little win on Tatslotto, and you'll get something else. Then, all of a sudden, it doesn't seem to work. Because we've activated something in us which has its own way of doing things. Like I said, it's the law. We have to follow that law. And if we do, we'll get more than what we wanted. We'll get what we need, which sometimes can be quite good, sometimes quite sad as we look at our life. And I look at enlightenment and I think, well, yes, it's not always Uh, Archangel, it's not Archangel Michael. What is that, Sheila? That's a lady blowing a trumpet or something, is it?
It's supposed to be Gabriel.
Oh, is it Gabriel? That's Gabriel blowing his horn and enlightenment. Ah, I see the light. Well, you also see the other side too. And that's when we get to the stage where you think, oh, was I that stupid? Why did I do that? And that's when the law of grace comes in. We're allowed to forgive ourselves if we've learnt the lesson. Anyway, talking about talking to God, positive thoughts won't mask a fearful vibration. But affirmations and denials are practical ways to help us use these wonderful sayings to help us in our life. And that's what's great with Unity New Thought. This is what it's bringing to the world. Now, I know we've got to get on to the burning bowl, but to sum up, in learning about this power which won't let us go, and in whom we are its expression, I recommend the book, The 5 Principles by Unity Minister Ellen Davenport. I think I've got one left there. And in the book, the old and new are brought together in a way that's concise, easy to comprehend, yet thought-provoking at the same time, and something modern and up-to-date. In this book, the old and new are brought together. It's easy. It just reads so well. The 5 principles are a summary of what can be called ancient wisdom, New Thought. These were written to make us use our God-given power of thought as we seek to resolve for ourselves the great questions that we humans have been asking ourselves since the dawn of time. Such as, what is this great presence we sense around us? Who and what are we? Why do things happen in our lives the way they do? How can we communicate with this presence? And what are we to do once we get it? We use it. But that little book, and also the wonderful library we've got down there, don't be put off with the old books. A lot of the new ones are just revamping the old stuff. And I noticed one of the later books is how to win friends and manipulate people. So tread wary, my friends. Anyway, regardless of the language used, the divine matrix, ancient wisdom, can be demonstrated in our lives now if we know how to use it. From healing our bodies to a happier career, relationships and peace. We each have this power to communicate directly to the force that links all of us together. And as we've found over the last couple of years in the situation we're in now, it's not just one person that needs to be enlightened. Elon Musk had a great saying. We now need collective enlightenment more than ever. So that looks like the way to go. Thank you.